Part 55. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 541. Chapter 541, Taking Yejia to Court. Yehantian is actually willing to use 20% of Yes Group's shares in exchange for the birth of that child. How stupid. MRS Yes' sudden change of attitude was actually due to Yehantian's proposal to transfer 20% of the company's shares directly to Yezikin's name. MRS Ye readily agreed. After learning the truth, Yezikin and Ye sat in the car, and the atmosphere gradually solidified. Ye tightened his hands and said, "Mr. Ye, does he care about that child that much? Just to raise a daughter who might look similar to her mother, you are actually willing to give up half of your life and blood in exchange? If you care so much, why did you harm my father's company in the first place? Took away their Jiao family's property, causing her parents to have an accident. If nothing happened to the company, her father would not have died. If her father had not died, her mother would not have taken her to the cemetery to pay her respects. If she did not go to the cemetery, she would not have encountered some extremely hateful criminals." Thinking of this series of cause and effect cycles, Ye is extremely disgusted with what Yehantian is doing now. "What do you do now? Do you want to express your sincerity to my mother? It's ridiculous to satisfy your own selfishness in the name of liking my mother. When I find the evidence, I will not hesitate to take him to court." "Little Belle, calm down." "You tell me to calm down. I think I'm calm enough, otherwise I wouldn't stay with you now." Had she not been clear enough, she would have held a grudge together with the only son of the Ye family. "I remember that my brother originally owned 20% of the shares in the Ye group, right? Madam Ye holds 10%. Now that Mr. Ye is willing to hand over 20% of the shares to my brother, it is equivalent to you owning it. Half of the shares. From now on, you will be the president with the highest say, right? She wants to take back what belongs to the Jiao family from the Ye group. If the legal person in charge of the Ye group becomes Yezikin, who will she sue when she finds the evidence? So brother, do you want to agree to take over the 20% share?" Yezikin put his hands on her shoulders and told her seriously, "I didn't think so." Ye shook his head blankly, "But Madam Ye must be very happy, and she will definitely impose this on you." Yezikin asked, "What do you want to do?" "I will make him pay the price for occupying Jiao's house in the first place." This time, Ye confessed his purpose in front of him. Yezikin knew that her hatred for the Ye family still existed for robbing the Jiao family company. He never dared to let Ye find out the truth, so he had been obstructing her for the past few years. Yezikin insisted on concealing the truth to the end and tried to persuade, "Xiao Lingdang, you don't need to do anything. I'll give you the Jiao family, okay?" "How can it be the same?" Ye shook off his hand. "I know that it is easy to rebuild the original Jiaos with the current financial resources of Yes Group, but it is not my father's company in any case. I will personally take back what Yehantian took away." Ye reached out to the car window and pressed the door button. "Brother, I'm afraid of being separated from you. I'm afraid that I'll hurt you with my unbridled words." "Let me calm down." She turned to Yezikin and jumped out of the car. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 542. Chapter 542. Jiao Li, my heart won't hurt, will it? Ye did not expect that he would meet Pei Yuchen again at the corner. Yezikin also chased him down from the car at this moment. Both of them looked at her, as if waiting for her choice. "Miss, I've been waiting for you for a long time." Pei Yuchen seemed to have turned into a butler since yesterday, always appearing next to her. After all, Pei Yuchen is so loyal and he was always present when he was with MRS Jiao. Now that MRS Jiao is gone, the person Pei Yuchen follows becomes the only one in the night. "Little Lingdang, the barriers you mentioned don't exist at all, and I won't argue with you. He just hopes that this girl like you can always stay by his side. Whether she says nice things or bad things, he doesn't mind. Pei Yuchen was at the side again to make his presence felt. Miss, where do you want to go? Ye Wei raised his eyes and glanced at Pei Yuchen, then looked back at Yezikin, and passed directly between the two of them. Yezikin and Pei Yuchen followed her without saying a word. Ye Wei suddenly stopped and sighed deeply. I just want to be quiet. If you follow me, there is nothing you can do. She just needs to think clearly. Every time she searches for the truth, she is always a little closer. Someone is blocking her from finding out the truth, and she has been unable to resist. Suddenly remembering what he had entrusted to Pei Yuchen before, Ye Wei could only avoid Yezikin. Brother, please go back first. Assistant Pei and I still have something to discuss. When the words fell, she seemed to see a flash of disappointment in Yezikin's eyes. Yezi unconsciously clenched his hand. But the problems between them must always be resolved. She nervously waited for Yezikin's response. If Yezikin tried to stay again, she would not be able to help but leave with Yezikin. However, Yezikin's eyes fell on her eyes for dozens of seconds, and his thin lips opened slightly. Okay. After a while, I went back to the night bar. Supervisor Zhao was startled when he saw him. Hey, why did Mr. Ye come back just after he left? Yezikin walked straight to the bar, sat down there and asked the bartender to get the drinks. One cup after another was placed on the table, and he poured nearly 10 cups down his throat in succession. Len Yangzi and manager Zhao stood nearby and shivered. Master Ye just went out with Miss Jiao, why did he come back alone to drink? Do you still need to ask? I must have had a quarrel with Miss Jiao. Manager Zhao revealed the truth in one word. Len Yangzi couldn't stand it anymore, so she boldly walked over and snatched Yezikin's wine bottle. Master Ye, you don't look good, please stop drinking. Yezikin waved away her hand without mercy. Go away. There were actually people who were not afraid of death who came to chat with me. Annoyed Yezikin, he directly picked up a bottle of strong wine and entered the exclusive private room. Director Zhao wanted to go in, but found that he entered the wrong password. Director Zhao, did you remember the wrong password? Oh shit, he must have changed it when he went in just now. Yezikin is as cunning as a fox, even after drinking. He isolated everyone, picked up the bottle of wine, and threw it to the ground. He dialed the number he knew by heart. You always say that you can separate your feelings for me and your hatred for Yejia, but every time something about Yejia affects you, you choose to escape. No matter what I do, will you only find the evidence and then take revenge on the Ye group? Qiao Li, my heart won't hurt, will it? It's all the adults' fault, and the children have to take the blame. Kixi mainly wants Xiao Lingdang to chase brother Chen once. Do you agree? If you agree, please leave a message for Kixi Festival. Remember to vote. Have a happy weekend. If you vote and leave more rewards, we will give you more updates. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 543. Chapter 543 Little Bell's Pursuit. The exam begins. 30 minutes later, Ye Wei neatly handed in the paper and ran out of the examination room. But when she arrived at Yezikin's examination room, the seat was empty. Well. Ye Wei stood outside the classroom and sighed. Today is the final exam for freshmen and seniors, but freshmen have to take the exam for 4 days, and today is just one of the subjects. Senior students only take a total of 2 hours of exams. Meaning that Yezikin will come back to take the exam. It just so happened that their exam coincided with Yezikin's graduation exam. She took advantage of the time and worked on the questions non-stop. The originally 2-hour exam was suddenly shortened to 30 minutes before handing in the papers, but... Humph, you're actually faster than me. Yi kicked the wall and took it back with a hiss sound. Suddenly heard someone calling her name by the window. Wei looked inside the examination room and found Suche winking at her. Wei. Suche threw a small piece of paper out of the window when the invigilator wasn't paying attention. Wei picked it up and saw that it was a complicated professional question. Suche meant to ask her to do the questions. Let her, a freshman, do the graduation exam questions for her senior year? This is too arrogant. Suche was actually gesturing to her. Wei walked to the railing with the question in hand, thought about it, and quickly wrote down the answer on the paper. Just when she was about to pass it on to Suche, the teacher who was patrolling the exam saw her standing here and came over to chase her away. Teacher, I am Qiao Yan, a freshman. The inspection teacher pushed up his glasses and took a look, and he really recognized her. Student Qiao, what are you doing in the exam room for your senior year? Well, because I had finished the exam and happened to pass by here, I took a look out of curiosity. I'm sorry. Wei lowered his head and looked sorry. Teachers like excellent students, so they will not embarrass her. It's okay, but you can't stay outside the examination room. Qiao should leave the teaching building after finishing the exam. Okay, goodbye, teacher. There was no other way. Suche could only watch his 10-point answer float away. Suche originally got into college with good grades, but in the past 4 years he has been losing more and more of his fighting spirit in college. Now he feels powerless when looking at his professional subjects. He suddenly pulled out his chair and stood up. In the curious eyes of the teacher and classmates, I said embarrassedly that I had to go to the toilet. The teacher waved his hand. Suche went into the toilet for a while, but when he came out, he did not return to his class immediately. Instead, he held his head high and put his hands behind his back, and walked into other people's classes. The invigilator of this class was walking around the classroom. When he saw Suche walking in so openly, his eyes widened. The invigilator glanced at Suche and saw that there was no one missing in his class, and suddenly he was not sure about Suche's identity or purpose. Suche walked in the classroom in front of the invigilator, occasionally glancing at the candidates' test papers with a calm expression. The invigilator looked at his grandeur and thought he was a teacher who came to inspect the exam. He nodded and smiled, and the two sides said hello. Some classmates recognized Suche but did not dare to speak. Some timid people just immersed themselves in the test papers. In this way, Suche successfully stole part of the answer. When he walked out of the classroom, the invigilator wanted to send him out. Suche made a stop gesture and told everyone vigorously, "Take the exam well. Pay attention to the discipline in the examination room." After saying that, he turned his head outwards, and ended up, just bumping into the fat-bellied grade director. This meme is from a picture I saw today on Chinese Valentine's Day. It's super funny. I posted it in the book review area. If you are interested, you can check it out. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 544. Chapter 544. She is just a sister. Wei walked downstairs to Yezikin's workplace in G City carrying the pink backpack she had just bought recently. Yezikin, Yezikin, Yezikin. When you call, just say you are busy and hang up faster than answering. The school is gone, the apartment is gone, and the company seems to be my home. I don't believe it, I can't conquer you yet. Still remembering the day she had a fever half a month ago, she felt ostracized from Yezikin because of the disgusting things Yehantian did and Madame Yes' decision. She asked Pei Yuchen to stay and really just asked a few questions about the progress of collecting evidence. Unexpectedly, when she turned around, she received a call from Director Zhao saying, Master Ye locked himself in the room and drank alcohol. She rushed over at that time. Even after changing the password, she still entered it correctly 3 times to open the room. However, Yezikin ignored her from that day on. It's not a Cold War, but it seems like they suddenly stopped caring about her. He didn't ask her if her cold was better, he didn't tell her to take medicine on time, and he didn't even ask her to send her back to school even though the final exam was 2 days away. Fortunately, Yezikin also had to take the graduation exam, so they came back together. But it's of no use, Yezikin really doesn't care about her now. I will not make any demands on her and completely let her be free. This relationship style makes Ye Weiwei unable to adapt. Cold violence means caring, while indifference makes people feel panicked. So, she planned to take the initiative to attack. She recently stopped taking the little fairy route and changed back to a soft and cute style. With the fluffy coat, cute earmuffs, and long hair in big waves, I feel, just like a teenager. This is one of the moves Gong Qinli gave her. She used to have a soft and cute image, and every time she acted like a baby, Yezikin couldn't resist, so now the strategy plan is to be so cute that she vomits blood. But she didn't know whether Yezikin would vomit blood, but others looked at her like they were looking at a little loli. It's enough to remember that I was taken to the police station as a primary school student because I was not tall enough. Slip into the elevator until you reach the office. The office door is locked, which means Yezikin is not inside at the moment. The secretary who came to get the information didn't recognize Ye Weiwei for a moment and was almost shocked. It turns out to be Miss Jiao. Looking at the secretary's subconscious action of patting her chest, Ye Weiwei asked curiously, is it weird that I'm like this? No, it's very cute. She is indeed very cute. She looks like a soft girl that makes people want to hug her and love her. But the image and temperament of the little fairy left a deep impression on people, so there was no reaction for a while. Finally, when their meeting was over, Su Tangzi walked out first, not walking with Yezikin. Su Tangzi saw Ye Weiwei. Neither of them said hello. They just made eye contact and passed by each other. Ye Weiwei looked forward to it and saw people coming out one after another, so he simply went back to Yezikin's office to wait for him. Even though the door is locked, she has the password to open it. He sat there upright, twirling the ring on his finger from time to time, and finally waited until someone opened the door and came in. Ye Weiwei stood up happily, but saw that the first person to come in was a woman full of intellectual beauty. The woman seemed to be startled by her. Shortly afterwards, Yezikin also walked in. The woman looked at Ye Weiwei curiously. Who is this? Ye Weiwei hesitated for a moment, then heard Yezikin briefly explain her identity to the woman, a little sister. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 545. Chapter 545 Dance, who is the partner? Younger sister? How dare Yezikin introduce her as his sister in front of other women? I just realized that Mr. Ye has such a lovely sister. It's a great pleasure to meet her. My name is Bai Junruo, and I am your brother's partner. Very good. The definition of brother and sister, right? Ye Weiwei glanced at Yezikin and she recognized it. Hello, Miss Bai, my name is Xiaoling, nice to meet you. Hearing the only name announced by Ye, Bai Junruo seemed to be surprised, but he didn't show it. The two of them looked at each other and smiled, both of them looking harmless. I'd like to ask, do you want to talk about work with this Miss Bai, because brother, you promised to take me to eat delicious food last night, and it should be time to get off work now. Since Yezikin said she was the little sister, she would make up a few sentences according to the situation, and Yezikin would have nothing to say back. Who asked him to say she was his little sister? But she never expected that Yezikin would actually reject her in front of other women. Even if it is false, rejected outright. I'm really sorry, Xiao Li, my brother has some business to deal with temporarily. I'll take you there tomorrow. Tomorrow. She was sure that if Yezikin left today, she might not be able to catch anyone when she comes to the company tomorrow. If it takes a long time to deal with it, it must be a very troublesome matter. You guys work first and I won't disturb you. Ye Wei completely behaved as a caring sister should. She didn't pretend not to disturb her, but she took action as she spoke, opened the door and walked out, and then, stood guard at the door and didn't go anywhere. The secretary came over with 2 cups of coffee and saw Ye Wei facing the wall, as if he was shutting up and thinking about his past. Ms. Jiao, are you here? Hush, be quiet. Ye Wei waved his hand for the secretary to go in. After a while, the secretary walked out empty-handed. Seeing Ye Wei still at the door, he shook his head helplessly and hurried away. After waiting for about half an hour, the office door was opened from the inside. The first one to come out was still Bai Junruo. She was finally leaving. However, the smile on Ye Wei's face lasted until the 3rd second when he was defeated by Bai Junruo's polite words, "I'm really sorry that after working hard all afternoon, I have to bother young master Ye to treat guests." Ye Wei only grasped the point. They have finished talking about things and have got off work, but they still have to go to dinner together. Elder brother. Ye Wei looked at Yezikin aggrievedly, and his cute expression was enough to make people want to touch her. In fact, someone did this, but that person was Bai Junruo. Miss Jiao is so kawaii. Ye Wei's mouth twitched. She simply couldn't believe that a sensible woman full of intellectual beauty like Bai Junruo was so interested in her soft girl. The only one who joined us was Ye, and the meal for 2 became a meal for 3. Ye didn't eat much and was deliberately picky about food. But Yezikin didn't care about her from beginning to end. There is really no other way. If distance cannot produce beauty, she will hold on tightly and let it have nowhere to escape. Dining in a subtle atmosphere. Yezikin and Bai Junruo had a topic. As Ye Wei listened, the posture of holding the chopsticks in her hands changed. Those who didn't know thought she was using the chopsticks to crush rice. There will be an industry dance party in 2 days. I was worried about not finding a suitable dance partner before. I wonder if Mr. Ye has time. Can we be a partner? There was a sharp sound, and the chopsticks in Ye Wei's hand were broken into 2 halves. Sorry, my hands are slippery. Hands slippery? This cute-looking soft girl has so much strange strength that she even broke her chopsticks. Thank you Xian for the reward. I saw your confession, Mua. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 546. Chapter 546, The Tragedy of Chasing a Husband. Ye Wei broke his chopsticks with one hand, but Yezikin just glanced at it indifferently. If this were the case in the past, he would definitely ask her if there was something wrong with her hand. But Bai Junruo was about to ring the bell to summon the waiter. Miss Jiao, please change a pair of chopsticks. Ye Wei put down the broken chopsticks and said in a shallow voice, no need, I've already eaten. But I see that you hardly eat. Maybe I'm not in the mood. The conversation between her and Bai Junruo was really light and calm, with no anger or unreasonableness, and no hidden murderous intentions. When you quarrel with the person you like, don't make unreasonable arguments when he is really angry, because that will not get any benefit and will easily make people bored. Ye Yuyi is coquettish, but not unreasonable. It's more appropriate to be a sad weakling now, to make your presence felt but not annoying. Bai Junruo didn't ask her why she was in a bad mood, but just looked at the delicious food on the table and told her, food makes people happy both physically and mentally. Ye Wei smiled slightly in response. When looking at people, the first glance is very important. It. Divorcing her topic, Bai Yunruo invited Yezikin again. Young master, yeah, what did I mention just now? Ye Wei held her hand tightly and found that there was nothing she could squeeze to burst. Then I heard Yezikin respond, wait until I confirm the itinerary for that day. Okay, waiting for your good news. Ye Wei remained silent until Yezikin sent Bai Yunruo to the car. She followed Yezikin, but found that the man was walking very fast with his long legs and suddenly moved several meters away. Each time you trot to catch up, each step you take will open up a small distance. Yezikin walked in front refreshed, even though Ye was the only one with good physical strength, he was out of breath chasing after him. I really couldn't catch up, so I could only shout, brother, you are walking too fast. No response. Kuk. Ouch. She fell to the ground numbly, her hands touching her ankles. The man in front finally stopped, turned around in Ye Wei's eyes full of joy, looked at each other for about 10 seconds, and then. The car is coming. Ye Wei. Can she fire this driver temporarily? Pretending that her feet hurt, Yezikin sent her back to school. Ye Wei stayed in the car and refused to leave. I won't go back to school. Yezikin responded indifferently, I don't have time to take care of you. I can take care of myself. Even though it was useless to protest, she was sent back to the dormitory by Yezikin. Xiaoziun came down to pick her up. He heard that she sprained her foot and was still concerned about her. Compare again to Yezikin. Humkarad. Going up the stairs, Ye Wei's feet suddenly healed. Xiaoziun hadn't reacted yet. Chiao, your feet. I'm fine, he told Xiaoziun clearly and walked back to the dormitory angrily. Gong Qinli asked her to report on the battle situation in the evening, and Ye Wei suffered many defeats. Isn't that right? You don't ask if your ankle is twisted, the only thing you did this time is that you made Brother Chen a little bit miserable. I'm also very desperate, I will continue to conquer tomorrow. Listen to me, give me some medicine now, and walk around in front of him with a limp tomorrow. Isn't this too obvious? You don't care if it's obvious or not, the key point is whether Brother Chen is going to suffer or not. You're right. Ye Wei hurriedly found some medicine and applied it, treating himself as if he was injured. Xiaoziun looked at it in the morning and said, Chiao, why are you lame again? It's okay, there are still tricks for Chinese Valentine's Day. Teach you tips on how to uniform your boyfriend Miao. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 547. Chapter 547. She is also beautiful. My foot hurts. If she wants to pretend, everyone will know that she has a sprained foot. Just hoping that some people's talk would reach Yezikin's ears. Now she looks like it's difficult to walk, so pitiful in front of everyone. She felt quite guilty when her classmates showed concern, but she could only nod and thank you, it's not serious. Suyuchen passed by her table and threw a small bottle to her without stopping. Ye Wei picked it up and saw that it was an ointment specifically designed to treat bruises and sprains. Since the birthday party, she and Suyuchen have not spoken another word. Obviously we are in the same class, but we never seem to see each other. Some people are like this. They don't want you to notice them. Even if they walk by you, they don't have any sense of existence. Ye Wei lamely put the things back where Suyuchen was. Suyuchen saw the ointment on the table when he came in, and glanced back. Ye Wei raised the book high to cover his face, and then the exam started. There was an exam in the morning and another in the afternoon. This time she did not leave early, but sat down until the last second. The invigilator looked at her several times, and she expressed her helplessness because Xiaoziun, who asked her to wait, was so slow that she handed in the paper last. The entire day, Yezikin really didn't call to care about her feet. I have never felt so lost. This time he really didn't care about her. But she will never give up. She would run to the company after exams these days. Today she stopped acting cute and went back to her fairy style. Wearing a white woolen coat on the outside and a dress on the inside, part of her long and straight thighs are exposed. She looks really, full of beauty. The long hair from her forehead to her ears was tied into a braid and pinned back. The hairpin was one of the many accessories Yezikin had given her. With her wavy curls draped behind her shoulders, she is a goddess of 1.67 meters tall, and she is dressed in a slightly mature but not old-fashioned outfit. She is a charming girl with an outstanding temperament. Of course, ignoring her limping leg. Miss Jiao, what's wrong with your legs? Ms. Jiao, are you okay? Do you need to go to the hospital? The words of concern became more and more exaggerated, and Ye Wei responded briefly, refusing to explain too clearly. Finally, she slowly turned to the office as a patient. She held her hand at the door and happened to see Bai Yunruo walking out of it. The two of them met each other. Ye could not tell when. The only time she stood still was when Bai Yunruo nodded with her and entered the elevator. Yezikin has no work at the moment and is simply packing the things on the table. Ahem. Ye I made a deliberate sound and limped in. Brother, have you thought about the things you said you were considering before? I do not know what you are talking about. Then, are you still going to that dance? I would go, but you don't seem to be able to. Ha, Prom, what's wrong with her? She's pretending to have foot pain. How can she attend the dance if her feet hurt? It doesn't exist, my feet are healed. Look. She jumped up and down a few times in front of Yezikin, her legs were flexible and there was no problem. Look, it's really good. It's not it's Because of the jump just now, her legs went weak. He touched it with his hand and moved his foot. She seemed to have really twisted it. Brother, this time it's true. I will ask the secretary to take you to deal with it. Today I went out on Chinese Valentine's Day to date a bunch of girls wearing hanfu. When we walked together, I felt like fairies descended to earth. Ha ha ha. I will share the photos with you in the group tonight. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 548. Chapter 548. I choose bread, not love. Suddenly I feel so desperate. What's even more desperate is that the dance is tomorrow, and her foot is swollen. The only thing that could comfort her was that she also received an invitation to the dance. Even if Yezikin doesn't take her there, she can go by herself. That's not right, although you can go by yourself, most people bring dance partners. So the question is, who is Yezikin's favorite dance partner? Bai Junruo. Relying on superhuman memory, she silently recited Bai Yunruo's contact information. She tried her best in a tactful way, and Bai Yunruo answered very cleverly. In the end, Bai Junruo said something with unclear meaning, Miss Jiao, you are just confused. Because my mind is confused, I cannot make the most accurate judgment. Ye Wei lay down in the dormitory all morning, looking listless. Chiao, aren't you going back during the winter vacation? There's a dance tonight. Prom. What kind of dance? Xiaoziun suddenly became interested. It seems to be that group of successful young people, I don't know very well. Her heart has been focused on Yezikin recently, and she has no time to think about the dance. She will go there eventually. That sounds great, Chiao, can you take me there? Want to go there? You can't live broadcast there. If you don't live broadcast, it's better to see the world. Maybe you can find a rich second generation to fall in love with. Are you looking for someone to fall in love with? Yes. Don't you have a male god, that Han Xingyi, don't you like him very much? The male belongs to the male god, and the male protagonist can only look up to her and dare not ask for anything. After all, she is actually a person who pursues real material things. As for me, although I like those lofty lights, I can still distinguish the gap between reality and ideals. For example, when it comes to love and bread, I will definitely choose bread. Elusive things cannot be eaten. You, make sense. Completely irrefutable. So Chiao, can you take me to the dance? Okay. She would go alone anyway, it would not be easy for two people to be embarrassed. Yeah. After receiving the reply, Xiaoziun immediately opened the wardrobe and started looking for clothes. She put on makeup and looked brand new. Luo Yuxi raised her head from the computer and saw Leng Rugjiu across from her, and suddenly said something to her privately, being friends with Chiao, but letting Chiao take her to those places is clearly taking advantage of Chiao. Leng Rugjiu quickly replied, that was also Kiao's voluntary choice. Yai is very smart, but it depends on whether she is willing to do those things. Luo Yuxi's momentary greed ruined her most precious friendship. By the time Xiaoziun finished packing, there were still 2 hours before the show started. Luo Yuxi and Leng Rugjiu have left the dormitory, but Ye Wei is still lying there. Chiao, what are you doing? Do you need to dress up your natural beauty? Look at me, Gio, I can't dance, so what's the use of dressing up? A woman should look after someone who pleases her. You're right, thinking about it, there must have been many people staring at Yezikin. She wanted to compare with all those possible love rivals. Appearance, temperament, clothing. Ye Wei went to the apartment with Xiaoziun. She spent a long time selecting in the wardrobe and settled on a blue tube top. She went to the bathroom to change her clothes and saw Xiaoziun standing by her shoe cabinet, holding onto a pair of pearly white high heels. Chiao, you are so beautiful. You still have an hour to put on your makeup. Ye Wei quickly rubbed his face. Xiaoziun leaned against the window and took a casual look. Oh, it seems like, your brother's car is coming outside. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 549. Chapter 549. The little fairy is actually disabled. Yezikin's car drove to the apartment. Just when hope arose in Ye Wei's heart, the car drove directly into the underground garage, and she didn't receive any call after she finished putting on makeup. Xiaoziun waved his hand and said he would go into battle in person. Xiaoziun, who had already obtained her driver's license, was about to take Ye Wei to the dance venue when the driver appeared out of nowhere and patted the car window. Miss, you can't drive this car casually. Wherever you want to go, I will take you there. Oh ho. Hearing the driver's request, Xiaoziun gave up his seat. The two of them were sitting in the back seat. Xiaoziun turned his head and whispered in Ye Wei's ear, it's a routine at first glance. It's 100% what Yezikin ordered. What is it? Ye Wei was secretly happy. The car drove over and found that the uncle driver was very familiar with the venue, he had indeed been here a long time ago. Chiao, I suddenly feel a little nervous. It's okay, you see I'm still lame now. Humbling in, even the etiquette lady at the door looked at her twice. Hand over a red invitation directly, the etiquette lady invites you in politely. Ye Wei walked in and indeed attracted most of the attention, because her feet. Look at the girl from whose family that is, she has a really good appearance and temperament. So what if it's not bad, it looks like he's disabled. Alas, what a pity. Such a beautiful girl, but there is no male companion around her. If she were not a disabled person, those young men would have flocked to her. However, there are still some people who can't resist the temptation of beauty and get close with excuses. Ye Wei pretended to talk to Xiaoziun in front of his own face and quietly slipped into the corner. Yun, you can go and play by yourself for a while, the person I'm waiting for hasn't come yet. Yezikin hasn't arrived here yet, and she doesn't want to be lame and wandering around in the crowd. Xiaoziun refused to leave. I'm not in a hurry, I can't leave you here alone. It's very safe here, go ahead and call if you need anything. Ye Wei really doesn't seem to need anyone's company, but although Xiaoziun talks about catching a rich husband, she is very moral. Just when the two friends were thinking about each other, a shadow came over them. Looking up, he saw that it was Su Tangzi. Sister Qiaolian, are you here alone? Ye Wei pointed at Xiaoziun, indicating that this person was his companion. Su Tangzi asked again, are you waiting for Yezikin? His dance partner tonight has been determined for a long time. Ye Wei said without changing his expression, I didn't say anything. Sister Su is overthinking. Su Tangzi achieved his goal and did not stay for a moment longer. She is so beautiful that people will talk to her even when she is hiding in a corner. At this moment, someone came over and invited them to drink with 2 glasses of wine. Xiaoziun, who is good at sociability, quickly got the person's business card, but also skillfully sent him away. Xiaoziun put the business card into his bag nonchalantly and put the unfinished wine beside him. Why, you didn't like that one just now? My appearance is not good enough, it doesn't match me. This means that Xiaoziun passed that person directly. Ye Wei counted the time, there are 10 minutes left, why haven't you come yet? Xiaoziun asked tentatively, what if Yezikin brings a female companion? Ye Wei breathed a sigh of relief and clenched his fists confidently, then I'll him away. Xiaoziun suddenly stretched his neck, poked Ye's only shoulder with his right hand, looked straight ahead, here we come. I'm not alone. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 550. Chapter 550, Wife-Staring Maniac. Yezikin really didn't come alone. At the same time, Bai Junruo also walked into the dance hall. But the man on Bai Junruo's arm, is someone else. Yezikin did not come alone, because there were 3 people who entered the venue together. One is Yezikin, the other is Bai Yunruo, and there is a man holding hands with Bai Yunruo. I didn't know him, but that man's temperament was extraordinary, and he was no less impressive than Yezikin. They are different types of handsome, charming, and eye-catching. Ye Wei suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Yezikin didn't bring a dance partner with him. However, this place has never been short of enthusiastic people and people with ulterior motives. Yezikin came in alone, so he must be very popular. Seeing those different types of women approaching Yezikin in various ways, Ye Wei lay behind and stared closely through the gap. Chiao, go, it will be too late if you don't go. Let me observe the enemy's situation again. What are you observing? Just go up. Xiaoziun suddenly pulled Ye Wei up domineeringly and pushed him forward gently. Ye Wei took a step forward with a limp foot, and everyone around her cast curious glances at her. Of course, when she raised her head, the eyes of those people could not conceal their amazement. Which family does this belong to? I've never seen it before. Every year, different beauties come. It's normal if I haven't seen her before, but I think she has something wrong with her feet. I don't know if it's an accidental injury or a disability. Let's go and find out. Even if he is disabled, he still looks good. They were looking at Ye Wei with the intention of playing and flirting. They saw that she was alone without a male companion, and that other men had the courage to get close to her. Ye Wei originally wanted to look for Yezikin, but he was stopped before he took a few steps. Those people asked her about her identity and name, expressing that she wanted to get acquainted. Yezikin could only hear the calluses in her ears, going in with her left ear and coming out with the right ear, but Yezikin didn't come over to help her get rid of these annoying flies. Yezikin suddenly changed his position, and Bai Yunruo stood next to him. Ye Yuyi's little heart was raised, and he limped out of the crowd. Sorry, I have to go find my companion, excuse me. Nice to see you tonight. The host came on stage and gave a lot of official opening remarks, and the crowd that had dispersed slowly gathered together. Ye Wei hadn't found Yezikin yet, but the crowd came over and she was immediately submerged in the crowd. Brother! She shouted weakly, and suddenly someone touched her back. A creepy feeling arose throughout my body. There is no familiar security, there is a stranger standing behind her. Looking back, he didn't find anything strange. Ye Wei stepped on his feet in the crowd, and when he stepped on his feet, it hurt the sprained area. She wanted to walk away, but she always felt a depressing aura following behind her. Finally, unable to bear it any longer, she suddenly turned around and wanted to catch the sneaky person behind her. But I heard a small exclamation. I saw Yezikin clasping the wrist of a man with glasses and sternly saying one word, "Get out." Ye Wei stared at Yezikin, as if everything around him was quiet. In order to increase everyone's interest, let's play a game. There is a beam of light in the venue, which can move in every area of the venue. When the light stops on their head, they will bring the first opening dance. As soon as the host in the center of the stage finished speaking, the light suddenly dimmed several times. The beam began to move rapidly around the field. Brother Chen is actually a hidden wife watcher. End of this chapter.